And we're live. Who all is here already? We've got Wendy English and Dan E. Boyd, Dean Stevenson, the One-Eyed Cat, an Unfinished Project is here, Junkyard D, Dust Devil Garage, Clayton's Toolbox. Well, we've got 3 countries represented already, 4 if you count Illinois separately. JB's Little Shop, 6th Street Garage. What is that? It's like Soylent Gray or something like that. This Paul, I'm telling you, I'm still not liking the handles thing, but we're working with it. Colleen Tebow is here, as is the Kerosene Cucumbers. Got Twisted Dennis, Run Dennis Run. Dennis says the show starts, the curtain rises, John speaks from a blanket covered in a deep growly voice. You forgot, Dennis. I didn't quit YouTube for the 416th time from out from under that blanket. Heavens Mopar Scott says, howdy, fellow citizens. Thumper, the sweaty fat guy, says, howdy. Patrick Sullivan here this evening. Big Hoopty Mike, who's just been grabbing all kinds of hoopty stuff. Vintage Adventurer Drive says, hey, folks, coming to you from work. Hope you have a good, productive evening. It's uneventful, because in your line of work, uneventful is good. Danny Boyd's tapping out already before he even starts, saying time for a glass of gin. The Lone Wrench Garage in the Mid-South Lowballer. Slant Daily says, what's up, suckers? Howdy, Shane, Professor P. Don found his phone, so that's a good thing. SSR Performance Big James says, happy Friday, ladies and gents. Hello, sir. Glad you're here. And Mexican Spec. So if he's here in the chat, then we've got, 4 countries represented. All right. We usually have Canada, Mexico, the United States, Australia, New Zealand, and sometimes California. Call it 6. 38 Racing says, good evening, good folks of the NNN. Right on. Danny Boyd's talking about using channel locks to get some aviation gin open. Okay. It's glass. I'd recommend great caution. All right. Glad y'all are all here. 6 countries. Counting California, yes. Debating on Illinois. Yeah. Oh, man. Dr. Pepper wanting to fizz on me. Normally I have this open before I start, but I had to go throw something in the wash and took Jethro to his hiding place for the live, which he needs. Plastic cap on a glass bottle. Yeah, it still is caution there. Dakota's timeout is here. He says, howdy there, folks. Howdy, Dakota. Glad you could make it. Dizzy says, NNN rocks and rolls. Hey, you people. Howdy, Dizzy. At least this one had carbonation, unlike the one from the Jeep. Yes, this is 3 years fresher than the one that was in the Jeep. Yeah, if you haven't seen that one, that video's out there. Me finding a 3-year-old or whatever it was, 2 or 3-year-old bottle of Dr. Pepper under the seat in the Jeep, and I drank it. And it tasted about like I thought it would, unfortunately. Don has a fire going, recycling a few things. I'm a little too close to the highway here. If I burn stuff, people get too excited. Had a pumper truck come out here one time over absolutely nothing. Dean says 5.5 countries, New Zealand, half Australia. Yeah, but half of California is American, the northern half. And the part away from the cities, the part away from LA and San Francisco, it's America. Don keeps it after dark. I don't think here will make any difference at all. It does help, but here it's just, I've got one problem. I think they were, I got one property where I think I could burn without a problem. So my friend Billy, who's obviously watching me, says, Ben and I were talking about that Dr. Pepper you found. Did you ever finish drinking it? No. In fact, you saw on that video, if you watched it, or it was live, actually, I took a sip out of it, took a second sip just to prove I did it, and then tossed it right out the door. Nanny Boyd's talking about a Dr. Pepper challenge. Put a McDonald's hamburger in the Jeep and see if it's intact 3 years. No, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do it to the Jeep or me or anybody. Although, tell you the truth, a McDonald's hamburger, surprisingly, I bet if there's a food like that would last 3 years, it would be that McDonald's hamburger. I would say because it starts kind of as a plastic to begin with, it wouldn't be much different in 3 years. I don't even think any animals will go after it. The left turn Dodge says 199. I can't type. All right, man. Then you're 40% of the way there. Well, actually, you're 39.8% of the way there, to be exact. Dakota says that one guy on YouTube drank 100-year-old Coca-Cola. Okay, cool. Why not? My dad one time, he used to mess around with archaeology and the digs and stuff, the people that did that. And he said they found an old wine bottle that was still sealed. And they tried to drink the contents in it. Dad took a sip of it. It just tasted like water. It didn't taste like anything. Don says, I can't get away. I'm not getting carried away. It's cooking fire. They can't argue. Well, first of all, where I'm from, they can argue with anything. But I usually get a little too enthusiastic with accelerant. Dennis says, I got some old Coca-Cola steel cap. They don't look good. Dad told me when he was in Vietnam, you only drank Coca-Cola from cans, never bottles. Because the stuff that was in bottles was bottled in Southeast Asia, and it could have absolutely anything in it. He said if it was in cans, it came from California, and it was safe. SSR James has an idea, along the lines of 30 Days of Shorts, do an NNN Community Awareness Week where everyone posts videos to grow and expand. I'd love that. I mean, I'm trying to do that weekly for years. But that said, yeah, let's organize something like that. I think late spring would be ideal. That way everybody has enough time, but it stays on people's memories. You know what? I'm good with that. I'll get with you on that. Maybe we can lead the charge. Big James is good like that. He's a good example. Remind me about that here in right after the first of the year. That's a good time to do it. Let's do it. Vintage Adventure Drive says, my dad found a 12-pack of Coke cans from the 1980 Olympics. We opened it up and it was super chunky. Oh, gosh. Around 13 or 14. Yuck. Big Mike of the Hoopty Barn says, I hope folks will bear with me while I'm in transition in the Hoopty Barn. Now I'm working on organizing and purging unnecessary items. People will bear with you. Sure they will. Take them along for the ride. Dakota says, an old guy we used to know drank a swig of fruit juice that sat outside safe under a car hood for 5 to 10 years. He said it needed a little more sugar. You know how many flies have just done who knows what in that? I mean, was it closed or was it open? I mean, how much did that sugar probably turn into prison wine or something if it was in a bottle? Oh my gosh. Colleen says the shop looks great. Keep it up. I did see it in the thumbnail. I haven't got a chance to watch the video. Lone Ridge Mike did 84 shorts straight last year. And shorts do work. The thing they will do, though, is they're like a lottery. He was doing really good with lives. Now, there was a time when lives, you couldn't get any traction, but now I think more people are doing lives, and that format is more popular, especially with the shorts, and that's what's gotten him the subs. Years ago, that wasn't the case. You got more from shorts. Now, a lot more people are doing shorts. The pool's more watered down. He was getting more from live. But that said, shorts still work, but they work more like a lottery when something just hits. Turbo Tom says, I know the chicken nuggets last a long time. They make a good fire store. See, these are just such guy things that guys would know. Dakota says, no, it had a lid on it. It definitely turned to alcohol. I'm sure. Blue Collar Nate, howdy. Glad you're in the house. We used to walk a quarter mile to the bus stop when we were kids. We found the Dr. Pepper syrup container. You can't find a way to drink that stuff. How old a syrup container was it? Was it a modern one? Was it glass? Or Dennis says shorts, lives work. Yeah. Dizzy says sitting in those barrels 10 years smooth. I'm sure he's talking about, a dozen barrels from Jack Daniels Distillery, drained them out, got 9 quarts. Okay. Evans Mopar Scott's excited, gets to put his garage to use this winter, unlike last winter. Sounds like a plan. Vintage Adventure Drives is hoping to get to lives, looking to buy a house soon, so that'll get me able to do them. Yeah, well, buying a house is good. Mommy Z Garage. Hello, everyone. New to YouTube, but not to No Name Nationals. Looking forward to next year. Not familiar with the channel. How do we know you from No Name Nationals? Ginger Vance, hello. Dennis says, I'm going to try this new form of lives you can do while sleeping. New Wave, yes. Yes. If y'all haven't seen it, old Rich 220 slept for 4.5 hours on a live stream, and I think it's still up on his channel. I scanned it. I think there was at least 2 hours. He was laying there asleep. So, can't make this stuff up. Nate says, like for a drink fountain. Oh, it's a stainless. Okay, yeah, because I have some glass syrup jugs. Dean says, America shall never be divided, John Wilburn. Well, it has been before. I mean, you're talking to somebody who lives in Virginia. Don't tell me America can never be divided. My great-great-grandfather had to walk away from his farm before it got burned. And then 4 years later, walked back to it 150 miles after the surrender at Appomattox to come back to what was left of it. Can't tell this family America can't be divided. Absolutely can. Dakota says, I'm going to get one of those 100 mortgages. What 100 mortgages? You're talking my stuff now, man. Left Turn Dodge says, I don't trust my internet here to try to go live. Yeah, I mean, you do need good internet to go live. What we have here is good enough. Okay. Okay, you're with the Engine Light Garage Crew. Excellent with Chris. Yes, cool. 100-year mortgage. No way. Horrible idea. 100-year mortgage is an absolutely awful idea. Absolutely awful. It encourages more of the worst behavior that we ever had of mortgages. Worst thing I've ever seen. Vintage Adventure Drive says, I subscribe to you. I saw the cars in your photo. I remember that box of No Name Nationals this year. I was over with the Mopar Misfit Mafia. Okay. Settle for 125. I think it's just a horrible idea. In fact, I think 30-year mortgages shouldn't have happened. No one's going to pay it off. The average person doesn't anyway. The average person keeps a mortgage 4 years. They might keep a property 7 to 13, but they keep a mortgage on average for 4. 50-year mortgage is a horrible idea. 30 is not a good idea. Danny Boy says, I like a 30. You pay on it like it's 10. Then why don't get a 10? You get a better rate. It's because you're not really going to pay it off like a 10. Hardly anybody does. It's not just mortgages, it's society. We're cooked. Exactly. 50-year mortgage is credit card mentality. It's exactly what it is. It's exactly what it is. And I will tell you, in my profession, I'm sure I'm in the minority. There's a lot of people that would like to sell people even more house than they can afford. Not me. I will make my living doing a good job. Big Mike says, I'm planning on hooking up a Wi-Fi repeater in the shop so I can actually go live while working on projects. Right on. Dennis says, my plan is to win the lottery. Awesome, man. You will win $500,000 after you spent $498,000 to get it. Fantastic. If you're lucky, because the house, I think the lottery, what is it? Is it, what percentage of those? Is it like 70% payback? I think it is. So really, with lottery, you're going into it knowing the house has 30% stacked on the odds to start with. I mean, not me. Turbo Tom says, I paid cash 34 years ago, still here. Yeah, and that's a good way to be. There's Engine Light Garage, says Mommy's the garage mother. Yeah, right on. That's what she said in the comments. Cool. I'm glad you're in agreement on that, because otherwise that would be weird and awkward now, wouldn't it? Vintage Adventure Drives. I figure the mortgage I'm looking at, I should be able to pay it off in 67 with my current year, but even sooner with advanced CMTP. Right on. That's a good idea. I really like Dave Ramsey's take on this. Have an emergency fund, pay your debts down smallest to largest, no mortgage over 15 years, have skin in the game, 20, 25% up front, at least 10. You got to have enough skin in the game at the beginning, and then pay the house off. I think that's a good plan. And at your age, if you do that, and then continue to stuff that money away in retirement, you will be when you're my age, you'll be a millionaire, literally an everyday millionaire. Dennis says, I don't play lottery. I understand those odds. Yes, and that's why you're not broke. Danny Boyd bought a zero-down house in 2005, paid it off 9.5 years. Right. I mean, when those rates were absurdly low like that and they were subsidized and crazy, a lot of people took advantage of it. There's nothing wrong with that. But that system was utterly unsustainable, as we found out. Lone Ridge Garage says, if you win it, they'll still tax you 99%. You'll still be in the hole. That's about right. Engine Light Garage says she's going to race me and win this next year. She needs to be part of your channel. Make sure she gets in on the channel fund. What states am I licensed in? Just Virginia. Just Virginia. It's uncommon to see people licensed in more than one state unless you're on the border. I am from a town that's on the border, but I don't feel like getting a West Virginia license. I just feel like that's utter aggravation. Max Wage Dick Dastardly says, guys, howdy. By that, $1 million will be 100,000. I'm not sure I'm tracking, but okay. Mean Street Mopar is here. Hello, sir. How's it going? Yeah, if you guys want to sometime, because sometimes I like doing these weird off-topic things. Not on a Friday night 8 to 10. We do this Friday night 8 to 10. But some other time, if you guys want to schedule it, we can do a whole deal just on real estate if you want to do it. We can do that. I did one all on firearm training one time. We can do one just on real estate. The two things I do when I'm not doing YouTube automotive shenanigans. Max Wedge Dick Dastry says, Dennis, don't forget, I want to go halves on the lottery win. You want to go halves on the win, but you don't want to go halves on the losses, right? To make sure we're clear there. Yeah, if y'all want to do a real estate live stream like this sometime, do it some other weird time so that it doesn't, get into this Friday routine, but we can schedule some other time. And it'd be a good opportunity if you guys want to ask questions, especially if you're thinking of buying a house, whether it's one to live in, one for investment. And of course, I'm only licensed here in Virginia. And really, I only work, the western half of the state. So unless you're local, it's not like I'll be your agent anyway. But I could still probably give you guys a lot to offer. I'm in my 23rd year now, principal broker and sales manager at the firm. And probably can help you guys navigate some real estate stuff if you're thinking of doing it. So just throwing it out there. Nothing we do on the channel here, but we'll find some odd time and do that for anybody who's interested. Big Mike says, we paid off our last house in 5 years, sold it and used the gains to put 40% down on this property, paid off within 10. Yeah, see, there you go. Slick. Dakota got a Desert Eagle. He wants to know what caliber. Well, it's Dakota, so it's going to be a 50 Action Express. No, it's a 357. I'm shocked. I can't believe you didn't get a 50 caliber, Dakota. Real estate stream. Yeah, I'm down for it. I'm down for it. Max Wedge already got my half of losses covered. No, you don't get to retroactively claim your losses before you make this deal with Dennis. No, he didn't have to match your losses retroactively because he doesn't play the lottery. Aunt D says, hello all. Just got here talking about mortgages and Dave Ramsey. We're on step 4, 5, 6 doing well. Yeah, right on, man. Just started a ring gear job on a friend's 36 Lafayette. Excuse me. Yeah, so they were talking about 100-year mortgages in the chat, which I think is insane. And I told him I agree pretty philosophically a lot with Dave Ramsey on that. But I was proposing, if we wanted to have a special real estate live stream, it won't be a Friday night, but some other time we have one and spend the time just discussing real estate stuff, all stuff, whether it's real estate, constructions, loans, tricks for buying and selling, investing, all just anything under the umbrella of real estate, we can do it. Dakota did not get a 50 because he bought the cheapest Desert Eagle. Okay. But it's a Desert Eagle. You still say you have a Desert Eagle. So in other words, you got the Charger with the slant 6, so you could say you had a Charger. Got it. The only one more thing to do on the dirt cheap paint job, final clear, and I can put the glass in and then let it sit outside somewhere. That's the main thing, is you can roll it out of the garage. By the way, for those of you not familiar with Aunt D said, just got here talking about mortgages and Ramsey, he's on steps 4, 5, 6 and doing well. Yes. So those of you who aren't familiar, look up Dave Ramsey's 7 steps for basically for your financial well-being. And your first step is to save up $1,000 emergency fund. Your second is to start getting out of debt. Step 2, paying off your debt smallest to largest. And anyway, as you go through these, you're working towards 7. You're working toward investment, paying off your mortgage, etc. And finally, step 7 is philanthropy, charity, enjoying your money, giving back. That's what 7 is. That's where you want to be. So once everything is all paid off and you're completely financially secure, 7 is where you got everything you need and you're just the joy of giving back. That's where we should all try to get. But that's good. The fact that he's 4, 5, and 6, which you do work the same time, means he's already gotten rid of any consumer debt, car payments, and all that nonsense. Lizzie says the 357 is much more shootable. I had a Ruger GP 100 357 revolver, loved it. Okay. And back on cars, mercifully. He's got his Scamp nearly legal for tech. I just need a firewall and another fuel cell so I can mount it to the floor. Everything else is good until I need a roll bar. Okay, mount it to the floor where? The trunk floor, I'm assuming? Mean Street Mopar's got his 360 ready to drop in the Diplomat. The engine wasn't as fresh as I was led to believe. Good. Well, where you are, you can work more through the winter, right? Pretty warm in the winter where you are. Dennis says that's the gun he carries. Right on. Good deal. Good deal. I like revolvers too, but there's a Glock 17 on my hip this minute. So what does that tell you? I mean, that's what I stake my life on. The One-Eyed Cat says, I'm at the point I want a bigger garage than I do a house. Yes, I agree with that. But this one's paid for. Work with what I got. Yeah, I know that feeling. I need to move one more time. But, man, I'm about priced out of a lot of this crazy stuff. If I'd had any idea what was going to happen at COVID with house prices. There's one I would have bought in 2019. Dakota says the Desert Eagle, you can change the barrels, have whatever. Yeah, I guess. There's some you can do that with. 6-inch barrel? Gosh, you carry that? You carry that in a holster on your person? Danny Boyd saw a slant 6 Charger. It was mint. Kind of a shame. I agree. If I had a Charger slant 6, I would keep it because it's so unusual. Dizzy says it's his most accurate pistol. Dakota wants a slant 6 Charger to put a $500 383. Boo. Why do that? Yeah, 4, 5, and 6 are done at the same time. That's correct. Tom was step 7 34 years ago. Right on. 34 years ago. That's right on. That's impressive. What level's buying car parts? That's usually people in step 2, if I'm being honest. Dennis says stainless steel, only way I'd carry, great shooting gun. You know, Glocks aren't stainless. Of course, I can't show it on a live stream. It's about half the finish worn off mine. You don't even get any rust. It's fine. Danny Boy says, the only time I've ever made car payments was when I bought a car from a friend. Didn't want to touch savings. I don't believe in car payments. I just don't. At all. I don't believe in car loans at all. On the burnout truck, do I need to mount the batteries on the back? The battery just has to be mounted securely the proper way. Battery tray and hold down and stuff. Not with a bungee cord or a ratchet strap or any of that stuff. We've seen that stuff. I mean, that's the last place I'd want to see a battery fly out of a vehicle is in the burnout pit. Battery fly out, back into the vehicle, come around and sling it into the crowd. Oh my gosh. We do need to have the batteries mounted securely. So, mount them like you would in a drag car with a tray, with a hold down, with the 3/8 bolts and that, and it's fine. And I'm not saying you do that, but I'm saying we have seen that before. That's one thing on a burnout car I really want to make sure is that people mount the batteries right. We want to make sure they stay in the car. There are a few things, got to have a helmet in the burnout pit, etc. The tech is not exhaustive for that. Vintage Adventure Drive says the fuel cell is not long-term. It's not secured to the floor. I plan to get an aluminum and properly bolted. Yeah, okay, excellent. Max Wedge Dastardly says chicken parmesan is done. Next street down. Sounds good. Dakota wants to get a Glock before they cost $5,000. I don't know why they'd ever cost $5,000. I just saw a great deal on a G17 in a pawn shop for $400. I'm like, wow, what a deal that is. Aunt D says car parts are definitely in the baby steps. You just need to budget. Well, this is true, but I'm just saying most people that just hand to mouth buy whatever parts they have cash for are usually in step 2. I think that's more the take I had on it, but you're right. You can do it if you budget it. That is correct. Dennis says if I can't hit them with 2, I'll quit. If you can't hit them with 2, you need to take my training. Be able to pick which eye. Thumper says, my garage is 2 times the size of my house. My brother's shop is 3 times the size of my shop. Wow. Okay, that's cool. And yes, Mr. Quick Ranch, I did see you in here. We're talking about your battery question, but yes, greetings. Glad you're here. Then it says on duty as well. Cool. RP Download says, won an AHRA M&P 556 off a tip board at work. Cost me $20. Yeah, cool. Excellent. I like it. Hey, no worries. We're just here hanging out. If you can make it, you can make it. Family first, work obligations got to come first. We understand. But glad you're here today. Danny Boyd says, I think some slant 6 Chargers even came with 3 on the trees. I would probably figure they would. That's highly unusual for a Charger. But that would be super cool. I wouldn't want to change that for anything. Big Mike says, I want a $500 383 to put in my 383 Charger. Dizzy says, I've bought 3 plastic guns. 2 would trim off slivers of plastic. Like what? Trim off slivers of plastic? What kind of junk would do that? I've never seen a Glock do that, ever. Left Turn Dodge says, my dad worked at a Dodge dealer in the early 80s. They had a priest who would bring in his L63 on the 369 Charger. Oh, neat. Would be cool to have that now. What's L6? Is that a color combo? What is that? Main Street Mopar says, I plan on getting the engine and transmission, the Diplomat, tomorrow. Sounds like a good project. I'm mounting and balancing some tires tomorrow. Dennis says Glock 40 as well. I'm assuming you mean a Glock 23 or a Glock, what number am I thinking of? A 23 or what's the full size version of that? That's what I think you're talking about, a 40 caliber. The code will go less than a bungee cord, not in the burnout pit. We want that battery secured. Vintage Adventure Drive says, my battery in my Scamp is secured using a home-built battery tray. Nothing wrong with that. I made it out of bed frame. It's secure. Yeah, that sounds great. No problem with that. It turns out you have to worry on it too. Yeah. We could have an internal rule name for that, but there's no need to. Yeah, you do need to worry on it, guys. Heathens Assembled, Bad Tree Blake. By the way, these are two of our burnout contest veterans, Blue Collar Nate and Bad Tree Blake. Love to see Blake back in the burnout pit sometime. Can you get a used Glock for $250? Not that I know of. RP Download needs a radiator for a 66 Satellite 383. Okay, well, if anybody has it. 66 Satellite. Yeah, I know. Andrew Nelson says, good evening from Team Nivlac 57. Well, hello, Andrew. Thanks for swinging by. We appreciate it. And for those of you who have not seen yet, the Nelsons hit 100,000 subscribers here recently. So congratulations to them. That was hard earned. And they did it, and they did it before the end of the year this year. So right on. They really deserve it. They've got great content, and I think they're just going to keep soaring. Buff Del Campo, he's late, but he's here. Well, hello, Buff. Thanks for coming by. Same thing with Lunar Outlaw Garage Brian. He says he's late, but he's here. We're glad you're here. Patrick Floorboard Cheney already said the only way to keep him from winning the burnout contest next year is to not have it. So there you go. We had Russell from Outfits Garage drop the mic last year, and he says, last year I finished second, and next year I'm finishing first. And that was it. And then Russell went out and did exactly what he said he was going to do. So why don't you get Patrick to come in here and tell us that, Nate? Let's see if he wants to try to do a repeat of what Russell from Outfits did. Called his shot like Babe Ruth and did it. Vintage Adventure Drive said, my dad has all of one Mopar. It's a 66 Belvedere. I've always wished he would get that thing going. Yeah, well, can encourage him. Rabbit Transit J in the house. You do know the answer to this. Your dad needs to do this on your channel, working toward the 5th annual No Name Nationals. Doesn't that seem very logical, Vintage Adventure Drives? Dizzy says, Andy on here, question mark, 71 Demon, good body in black, roller on aluminum, slots, twin scoop hood wing, 38 an hour north. Okay. Maybe, I don't know. Sounds cool. Aunt D says, still need to work on the posting consistency for the channel. Yeah, he's got some cool content there, Aunt D does. So go check him out. But, yeah, I'd like to see more content. Aunt D, you going to try to make the trek to Sykeston in 2026? Greg McDonald says, I can remember when I was 8 in 1969, seeing my first wing car, probably straight off the Lyncher Hamtramck assembly line. We only lived a mile away. Oh, that had to be really cool. Battery Blake says, the computer I edit with's been down for a month now. I've been trying to fix it. It looks like I need to order a new GPU or graphics card. I finally broke down and pulled the circuit board out of my refrigerator and sent it off to a place in California to be rebuilt. I have been dreading that job for so long because I have to clean behind it. Oh, it's not good back there. So I'm going to do all that, and I'll be ready for the board. It'll take me all 10 minutes to put the board back in it. But anyway, I made myself do the worst part, which is pull it out, get the board out. So now it forces me to clean it all and put it back together. I want to have the kitchen straighter for Thanksgiving. How's that? So Lunar's working on making ornaments to send out. I think I'm going to make them available for sale as well. So keep an eye out this year for a special crazy cactus ornament. Okay. RP Download says, can't believe you're on the 5th already. Time flies. Yeah. 5th is in the planning right now. Is there a date for next year? We're very close. I will announce it very soon. Very soon. I want to have you guys a date by Thanksgiving, and we're on track to do just that. Aunt Nancy says, good evening. A little late tonight. Glad you're here. Vintage Adventure Drive says, my dad already has a pretty quick 69 Mustang with a 351 Windsor, 3-speed, 8-inch, 380 gear. Ran 1298 and a quarter. Last time it ran, that was 7 or 8 years ago. Neat. He can bring whatever. We just like to see it happen. Get him in on your channel, though. Danny Boyd says, I remember seeing a wing car in maybe 70 or 71. Yeah, that's kind of like when they were new, right? Main Street Mopar says, I'm hoping to have the Diplomat running by the end of the year. Make that a goal, ma'am. You got about 45-ish days. Bad Tree Blake says, Joe told me to edit on my phone, but I is not smart. You could do it. You could do it. I don't know how Joe could stand to do it, but he does. He does a good job. Mr. Quickrange says, is it worth it to have AI edit your video? They want $50. Think it'll get more views? I like having my own creative control. Guess too much to do that. SSR James says, I'm pumped up a little Thanksgiving treat. Cool. Sounds good. Rabbit Transit J says, I still edit on my phone. And there's nothing wrong with that. Some people do, and they're just wizards on the phone. Of course, I so rarely do a long format edited video that I don't know that it matters, but when I do it on the on this laptop I'm using here, and I use Filmora, as does Blake. I really like that product. Vintage Adventure Drive says, I took to editing on my iPad. It made the editing so much quicker. And it probably does. It probably is a lot better than the iPhone. Left Turn Dodge says, if I can edit on my phone, anyone can. Yeah, I guess. You know, what's funny is I've always typed like a caveman, real slow like that. And people for years would tell me, oh, you hunt and peck and you can't type and all this stuff. And then we came out with phones with these little miniature QWERTY keyboards. I could fly on those. So all those people that pride themselves on this proper, keys on the right fingers stuff, it made no difference. That reset everything. I can type on that keyboard faster than any of those people. Wound up being worth nothing once those came out. Then it says, I can only do short video. Tanner can't edit on a flip phone. Well, okay. He might have to get, something else to edit. Bad Tree Blake says, I tried the AI edit thing, Quick Wrench. It doesn't capture the key moments you'd like your audience to see and leave stuff a guy would normally edit out. I say it's not worth it yet. Yeah, I see. And that's kind of what I figured with AI. AI can't possibly know what's important to you like that. Left Turn Dodge, I type the fastest with multi-tap. I don't know what that means. When I think multi-tap, I'm thinking about pressing and resetting my trigger a couple of times consecutively. Lunar says, DaVinci Resolve 20 Studio is my go-to tool. It's incredible software. Yeah, there's a lot of good softwares out there. RP Dynalo has several videos, but saves them to private. Okay. Aunt D says, not sure what I would bring, but one of my buddies also wants to go. He's already over 1,000 subs. So I'll tell you what, be figuring it out. We're going to be a date on this orange paper really soon. If I can do it. This orange paper. Lunar says you can get it for free, but it has some restrictions most people will never notice. Okay, there's a good hot tip. Filmora had a license that was lifetime, and they tried to revoke it and tried to screw everybody that got the lifetime license, and there was a lot of rebellion, so they went back and gave it to you. But then what they do is they try to ransom all kinds of new features on subscription, and they don't tell you they're going to cost until you got the video edited. They did that to me on one recently. Blake says it's hard to beat how simple and convenient Filmora is. $80. Yeah, $80 for a license. That's what I did. And I've absolutely gotten more than my money's worth out of it. My wife types faster than I can talk. Some people can. My Aunt Nancy's in the chat here. Aunt Nancy, how many words per minute did you type on your typing test in business school? If you're still in here listening. on a manual typewriter. Left turn dodge says multi-tap was what we had on the flip phones where you would press the number. Oh, yeah. I was great on that, but it's just completely obsolete now. Vintage Adventure Drive says, I got really good at typing back when I worked at O'Reilly's. It's been a few years. I'm still quick, but nowhere as quick. Okay. The dreaded paper, and then it'll be official. There's that orange paper back there now. There's no number on it. Bad Tree Blake says an $80 investment on 600 plus videos and 7,000 subs worth it. I agree. Big Mike uses the free VN editor on my phone to edit. Yeah, if that works for you, that sounds great. Your videos look good, Mike. So, Colleen says my grandma did 95 words a minute on the typewriter. Yeah. I don't think Aunt Nancy's in here, but she would do 120 words a minute on a manual typewriter. Crazy fast. Lunar says DaVinci Resolve Studio is used to make movies like Iron Man and everything. It's very powerful and really easy learning curve. Best parts when you're ready to buy the professional, whatever. It's not that expensive and for the life of the machine, if they don't just burn you. Okay, here's on Nancy. Been a long time with a Royal manual typewriter, 15 minutes, 100 words per minute, 0 errors. Yeah. They actually came in and retested her and watched her and observed. Yeah, that's just wild to think. Greg McDonald's going to guess about 270 days to No Name Nationals. I got to say, it's infinite days to No Name Nationals if you don't come to No Name Nationals. But it's something, I guess, in that order if you do. It won't be radically different from last year. That it will not. Don says, my sister took shorthand in high school. Yeah, Mom knew that shorthand stuff. I always thought it was weird. I think that's kind of obsolete, too. Cousin Cletus says, hey, cousins. Howdy, Cletus. Glad you're here. Aunt D said, lifetime license warranty. Whose lifetime? Yeah, the lifetime campground that sold the lots and they just burned them when the guy sold the place. Yes. I've kind of learned that that's not. When Front Sight Firearms, they were selling these memberships, and I had one. I had a $500 membership, okay, your base membership. And I took a bunch of classes. I totally got my money's worth. But they would offer these memberships to people, I mean, my gosh, that had all kinds of speculative things, like a hotel they were building, a resort they were building, all this other stuff. And they just lost it all when that place went bankrupt. The people like me that just got a base membership that was totally worth I got my money's worth, because most places you take a 3-day class, you're looking $500 or $600. And I took a handful of classes out there, $500 membership, I got my money's worth. And that $500 membership, it ain't pro shop credits. You're getting credit at retail prices, but still, I got my money's worth. But some of these people had tens of thousands of dollars invested in that place in subdivision lots for houses, and just none of that happened. So I'm very leery of these lifetime investment type of things. But if Phil Morrow were to just go belly up and burn us on our licenses, I can't be mad. I've totally got my money's worth. Left Turn Dodge says, I do well with the obsolete. I'm a circle track Mopar guy. Right on. Ron English says, how do, John and all? Happy Friday. All that can say it. No work for me tomorrow. Yay. Busted Radio says, 57 to the front. Chris, are you making progress on buying that? Because I heard your buddy say something about having to go get his stent card at the hospital or whatever. Is that a possibility that it might happen? Because that sure would be cool. Still no orange numbers. Time is still a mystery that waits for no one. That's right. I said I'd get your number by Thanksgiving. That's my goal. Bruce is taking a typing test on here. The quick red fox jumped over the lazy brown dog. Okay. Blake says, I bought a second license for our Pro book, and it's 180 from the PC version. Oh, wow. Okay, so it's completely different. A little more difficult, but I'm not used to fanboy apples. Okay. All right. So it's radically different. But then again, I like Apple. I like the iOS, but It's so different on an iPad. I like it on the phone. The one-eyed cat says typewriters is why they invented whiteout. Yeah, probably so. Left turn dodge hit 200 right on. And this time of year, working on it is going to help a lot. It's going to give you a lot shorter road come spring and summer. Big Mike says, my typing teacher was so fast on the electric typewriter when she quit typing, the machine finished a couple seconds behind her. Cool. I like it. Blue Collar Nate does everything with CapCut. I believe Two Hacks Jeff uses CapCut for everything too. Johnny C can't even read 120 words a minute. I think I was reading 1,200 a minute in school. We had those little machines that would spin and you'd have to read on them. Run, Dennis, run. Run, run, run. See if Ginger Vance is watching. That's her favorite song, by the way. Aunt D says, occasionally I use CapCut, but going back and forth is frustrating. Not sure if it's my phone or probably me. I think whatever program you like and get a lot out of, just stick with it. Because there's a lot of great programs out there. My Aunt Nancy said, I did shorthand for engineering meetings that usually lasted 4 to 5 hours. They had to make sense out of what those guys were trying to say. Well, glad you could do it. An engineering meeting that lasted 4 to 5 hours, that sounds absolutely horrible. Bad Tree says the ladies in the courtroom go hard in the paint with the words per minute. Yeah, the court reporters, they really fly. There's something to watch. Fortunately, most people in court are trying to speak slowly and not trip up with the word soup and that kind of thing. So I hope that helps them. Barrows says the owner of Anthony's Auto Parts would tell him, well, that looks like that was all the life they had in it, when he would bring him a lifetime warranty part. I still have stuff warranted back to 1996 at AutoZone. It's awesome when I finally take a part in there and my warranty's older than the person who waits on me. That is fantastic. It's happened a couple of times. AJ Foyt told us Craftsman tools were guaranteed forever too. Yeah. See, now who would have thought that Sears, when it was 100 years old then, you were going to be having that problem? And here we are. Dennis said, Chris said he was done with the car this morning. Okay. Evans Mopar says, the one thing I really want to invest is going to fabrication school. Cool. RP Download, real estate is the way to go. I like real estate. It's cool. I'm saving on paper right now. You know what? So for those who don't know where that came from, when I was cleaning out under the eaves of the old office building I had in 2017, I found this ream of orange paper. And I thought, that's cool, but what in the world am I ever going to do with this orange paper? I have no idea. I just couldn't imagine what I could do with the orange paper. But it's really cool because, as you see, it's pretty close to my alma mater's colors, right? I think that's why they got it. But I just had it here in the office, and then I kept thinking about, for the No Name Nationals, we need some kind of countdown clock. And then when the idea occurred to me, I said, you know, it needs to be colorful. And I saw that ream of orange paper right there in the closet right there. I said, perfect. And so I got 2 years out of the first stream of orange paper. And then for the third year, I'm like, oh man, I'm out of this stuff. Where in the world am I ever going to find this? Because that orange paper had been under there. That place had been a real estate firm for 50 years then. There's no telling when that paper. But I knew exactly what office supply store they always bought from. And I said, I bet I can find it. And I didn't even have the jacket or anything, but I remember what it looked like. And so I went in to this office supply store, the kind where you just think no one's even working there. It's like brown paneled walls and all that. And I went in there and I saw this huge wall with that paper, ancient reams of colored paper sitting there. And I found it. So I found the exact paper. So now I've got it. We're good. We can maintain the orange paper into the future. So there's the story you never wanted to hear. Blake says the real challenge will be editing 8mm film. How's that even work? Oh, I don't know. I got enough problems editing without stuff like that. RP Download took a speed reading class in school. Right on. What'd you learn in that? Tell us a couple cool things you learned from that. Yeah, said he's done with YouTube again for the 700th time. Actually, Chris, if you watch the first minute of this live, you might see that. Yes, we both love those lyrics. That song is spooky. Yes, it is. Run, Dennis, run. Run, run, run. That should come out on vinyl for Christmas. But can you read those 120 words per minute in cursive? Not a chance. You know where cursive came from? It was because at one time you couldn't, before ballpoint pens, you couldn't lift the pen off the page or it would blot the ink. So they had to have one continuous line to keep from doing that. That's why we have cursive. The ballpoint pen made it obsolete. I do not like cursive. I know Aunt Nancy loves it. I don't like it. There are things that forever are completely lost because Mom wrote them down in cursive, and now no one can even know what she wrote. Danny Boyd says, that's the best thing they taught me in school, how to read. You're not going to hear me say this, but thanks, teachers. Well, 70s teachers, yes. Proficient reading is extremely important. Blue Collar Nate says he took some of my advice and started making 1-minute videos. Oh my gosh, why does anybody want to take my advice? They're basically TikTok music videos, but I've gotten really familiar with CapCut. It's pretty competent. Yeah, the short videos are really helpful because they get in front of people that have extremely short attention spans. And they give you more practice at getting your content into that minute. Like, if you guys watch, remember when shorts were 1 minute? Now they're up to 3. They used to be 1 minute. If you watch a lot of my shorts are like this. Like if you watch my one I did on, say, vinegar rust removal, I wanted certain things, I had an outline in my head. Okay, I got to show the parts before, need to show putting the vinegar in, need to show it working, had certain things needed to be in there. Like, okay, I got an outline of about 6 things. And so I had to prioritize all my time to get it under 1 minute. But when you do that a few times, it really helps you produce. It helps you produce without as much fat to trim away. And it makes you make quicker cuts, quicker transitions, which if you watch the pros, that's what they do. Most people spend too much time on things. Once someone's seen it, got the idea, literally 2 seconds of something might be plenty enough. And a lot of us amateurs will leave it on there for 17. We don't need to do that. Levi says, just getting a chance to sit down, took off 3 days of work for the nice weather. Cool. I'm going to get out and mount some tires tomorrow. And I think I'm going to actually, for this year, I've never done this before. I think I'm going to do some exterior Christmas lights. Because if you watched my short, and if one of the mods wants to put it up, my Where the Grinch Lives, I'm not going to be the Grinch this year. We'll have some lights for Christmas. Jeans Guy Performance. Lunar says, I think you should get a 3D printer. You're clever. I'd like to see what you can make. I got a friend that's got a 3D printer. It's even better than having a 3D printer. Danny Boyd says, the best thing about real estate, all the wild relics that come with these buildings. The wildest relic I've ever come up with from real estate is an 1861 Tower musket. Lunar says those 3D printers are more reliable than regular paper printers. Yeah, maybe. This printer right here has been a pretty good one. I can honestly say most of them are hot, rotten garbage, but this Brother DCP series has actually been pretty good. I've had 2 of them. Ron says, best holster for an Israeli Arms Desert Eagle 44 Magnum. What are you going to do? Is it going to be a holster for the gun to sit in, or is it going to be a holster to actually carry a thing like you're going to use it daily? Dennis says, you bringing back the No Name Nationals clock? It never went anywhere. The 4th one went to Mean Street Mopar. I got it out late, but the 4th one went to Mean Street Mopar. The 5th one will go out earlier. But yes, the No Name Nationals clock is going to be a thing for the 5th. Barrow says, when phone books and Sears catalogs went away, it made driving really difficult for people like Two Hacks Jeff, who had to do it faster than me. Yeah, okay. Well, it's funny you said about phone books. There's a short on my channel about the distribution of the Yellow Pages. Those things still exist. They still do, just barely. Aunt D had a brand new Duralast Gold starter fail. It's warranted, but wanted to make a video and take it apart and see what happened. I've just not had any luck with those AutoZone electronics parts. How much paper? I just got one ream. I feel good that I can continue to get it where I got it. But if it ever starts drying up or becomes discontinued, I'll probably get a box of it. Don't focus on the nonsense. Okay, don't know what nonsense you mean. Danny Boyd, new Duralast, anything failed? No way, yeah. I had them take a Duralast distributor out of the box one time, like, put it back, put it back. I've seen enough. There's a story you never wanted to hear, right? Aunt Nancy loves cursive and can read it. Yeah, maybe, but I'm telling you, some of that stuff is like hieroglyphics. Why not use the same orange papers? Well, believe it or not, I actually take the papers after and I bind them in the book. And there's things on the back of them. There's notes and different things on the back. Those papers actually do something when they leave the wall here. I may do that one day. Get on the video and show you guys what I do with the papers. Vintage Adventure Drive started writing in cursive in an attempt to help my hands stop cramping instantly. Yeah, I still wouldn't do it. I had to write in that stuff for school. I was forced to, of course. My friend Billy says these are all the Christmas lights he's doing right here. Cool, man. Well, I plan on doing some. I think I'm going to wrap the columns out front. Danny Boyd told his mom that he couldn't read her writing, and she said, yeah, but it's pretty, isn't it? Even as a kid, I was able to tell her why that was a poor argument. Well, if you need to write down something life-saving, I guess so. Dennis says nothing wrong with cursive. I mean, maybe, but it's still much harder to read. Blue Collar Nate says it's wild how hard it is to fill a minute for people with a 3-second attention span. This is correct. It's true. People have the shortest attention spans ever. This is why. Okay, so I don't have Facebook, but I have noticed people have it and scroll that feed. They'll flip through it and just blaring this at you. Scroll one more, blaring something at you. And it's because if it is quiet for half a second, they just keep going. And so I noticed it's designed for short attention spans. They just flip through, blast, 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 blast of music. Or it'll be somebody with a big grievance or something they hate. They just start screaming and cursing instantly. There can't be a quarter-second lull because it's trying to snag attention span as people scroll. I am so not a fan, but I noticed that's a thing. And I guess the YouTube shorts are very similar. RP Dynalo says, I like cursive. You can tell a lot about someone who writes in cursive. You can. You can tell they're trying to hide what they're writing from everybody else. The One-Eyed Cat says, I'll start scribbling practice cursive on occasion because I can't. Well, I can write in it. I had to for school. Ron Ward, howdy. Cursive is writing to what clutch pedals are to vehicles. Beautiful, artistic, and expressive. Okay. Yeah, Ron's smoking something. I don't know what's up with that. Whatever. It's a great thing. We can all have opinions. I'm just not a huge cursive fan. I didn't like it then. I don't like it now. And as soon as I got out of high school where they demanded, I never wrote in that stuff ever again. That's about the greatest thing about going to college ever is I never had to write in that. They just want stuff they could read. Levi says, I can write in cursive. I think I'm one of the last generation that will use it. No, Levi, the generation, your generation doesn't. Hardly anybody does. Next to none in mine do. It's the generation before me that still really uses it. Lunar says we have to be quick because we live in the goldfish mentality. Yeah, I'm telling you, people here have very, very short attention spans. Ron says, huge car show in Topeka tomorrow. Unfortunately, after work, forecast is 75. Wow. Well, it's going to be in the 60s here. We got 65 degrees, and I'm doing mountain 4 tires tomorrow. So I want to do 4 tires, and I want to do some Christmas lights and some trimming, believe it or not, because I want to get things trimmed up a little bit. I did a last mowing and everything and try to make it nice and cleaned up. Nice. Lunar says, my wife was just saying how she wants exterior lights. Well, I don't usually do them. I don't. My tree's got 5,200 lights on it, and I got a wreath, but I think I'm going to do a little bit more this year. The problem is, and one reason I don't is because I love Christmas Vacation, and I got a lot of that in me, and I have a feeling I'm the kind of guy who could totally get wild with it, but I just won't. I think I'm going to do the columns and some ribbon and something like that, and I'll do a little something. Dakota likes the old black powder guns. Yeah, as long as they don't chain fire, I think they're great. Ginger's going to video me with a wrench in my hand. Yeah. Rich claimed that I don't ever build anything. I don't ever work on anything. I got 3 transmission builds on my channel, 3 different builds. And he says I don't work on anything. I've done tires manually a few times, like live and otherwise. And I would love to see him try to do tires manually. You have no idea how much I'd like to see 220 trying to mount tires with spoons and a manual bead breaker. That'd be hysterical. .38 says, good evening, Dylan Levi, instigator of S10 shenanigans. Yes. Blue Collar says that's what he's been doing. It's tough to feel. You're right. It really is. It's funny because there are people that think, well, I don't have time to say this or that in that much time. And yet they'll turn the camera on and they'll, and then they watch the video back and realize it's like, wow, I had way more than enough time to say it. I didn't have time to do the outline in my head and then say it, then pull it back and reformulate it. That's what they didn't have time to do. And that is the difference between the professionals and the people who think it's easy. Now, you guys think it's hard to fill a minute. Imagine filling a 2-hour live stream with no dead air, purely out of audience questions like this. Takes practice. Barrow's Garage says it's been really strange weather here in the land of Idaho. It snowed 3 times at night, but still hitting near 60 during the day. Here's my Grinch live short. Thank you, Colleen, the secretary. You'll never get which house is mine. Dakota's asking Ron if he's got a Desert Eagle. Aunt D said I used to have good luck with Arizona stuff. Not sure what that means, or AZ stuff, if that's even what he means. Levi says, I'm following in your footsteps on account of the Boss Lady's Choice. She wants to run an S10 in the Triple Crown class at the No Name Nationals, which sounds awesome. Can't wait to see it happen. Mostly old parts. If you think it's time to bury your guns, it's time to dig them up. Levi said, how much for a box of paper? Printer paper is an interesting industry. I think it's running like about $30 a box, and that's 10 reams roughly. Of course, this designer stuff is more, but we use so little of it, it's not a big deal. But I use the Boise white. I use a little heavier than normal, a little whiter, a little heavier paper than normal because that's how I like it. It's nice and clean. I don't like cheap printer paper, but I bought a pallet when I had the retail office, and I'm still using it. And I'm down to about my last 4 boxes. And at the rate I'm using paper now, who knows? That may last me another 15 years. But I got a killer deal on a pallet of paper. Had to get a pallet. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And I did. And I've just been feeding off of it ever since. And I can't remember. I got it so cheap. But I haven't had to buy any printer paper since Oh my gosh, 2009. Yeah, if they ever changed the size standard from 8.5 by 11 to something else, I'd be ruined. But I didn't see that happening. So, of course, one of the worst things ever that should just never have been invented is legal paper. 8.5 by 14. Whoever came out with that idea, I think to drop that guy in a tree shredder. The one-eyed cat says one of the most stolen items is the ballpoint pen. Changed my mind. Well, the post office put a $500 fine on stealing one. I don't know, man. I can think of some things that probably get stolen more than that. After several years of mechanical drawing and drafting, my cursive took a back seat to SAE block lettering. Yeah, I could see that. Dakota says, how do you tell if you have a short attention span or not? Probably lots of ways. Although I look like I have a short attention span drifting away from your question, it's only because I'm not going to flesh that out. I mean, can you watch a movie to the end? Can you follow it? Can you only scroll shorts? Can you watch long form? People with a longer attention span, can you read a book, or do you have to just watch the movie because you can't sit and read through the book? It's like stuff like that, I guess. Left Turn Dodge says, 1 year I decided I was going to run lights out front, wound up with 100 strings. I tend to overdo things. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I'll probably start with the columns, then I'll just keep going, and who knows. But what I really don't like is all of the attaching it and stuff like that. I'm just not a fan. If I could just put them up once and leave them up and never have to turn them on, that'd be different. One of my outlets is broken out front, unfortunately. So that kind of puts a damper on it. I am way behind, too. Colleen says nobody has pencils. Drafting lettering spot on. Now I have to skip forward. I can see I'm behind. Cope wants to know if Ginger's cooking Thanksgiving dinner. Don't necessarily know what's for Thanksgiving just yet. Cousin Cletus says it's already November. No Name Nationals 26 will be here before you know it. Who's bringing something new? Johnny C. prints in cursive. A third grade teacher asked why cursive was invented. I answered, so it takes longer to write everything. It was to save time. I still don't agree. No, it was because you can't lift it off the paper for blotting before they had the ballpoint pen. Aunt Nancy's putting my beautiful reindeer out tomorrow. Right on. I hope you still have the angel goes to reindeer. Ginger's trying to figure out Thanksgiving. As smart as my son is, and all the private schools we sent him to, they never taught him to write in cursive. When he had to sign his name on a federal ID, put a circle with a line. There's nothing that says you have to use cursive for that. Your mark is your mark. That's what it is. And I saw this Barrows. Thank you very much. He says, $10 bid for an NOS number 42 orange paper. It's the number that kick-started me. And we can probably make that happen, Mr. Barrows. Main Street Mopar. I remember when they taught us cursive in second grade. I've hated it ever since. 5,000 lights and one burns out. Get the LEDs. I redid my Christmas tree in LEDs for that reason. My transmission locked up on the lawnmower at the bottom of the hill, and then guess where it's going to die? Okay. Yeah, I got to skim forward. That's how we mount the semi tires, separates the men from the boys. That's how I mount all the tires. RP Dynalo taught at community college and had a student ask me how to write a lowercase cursive Q. It's almost similar to a lowercase cursive G with a slight twist. Ron's taking the Roadrunner Gladys on a short road trip Sunday. Cool. Ray says, I write cursive more legibly left-handed than with my right, just lots slower. Wow, I wouldn't want to try that. That just sounds crazy. Dakota says, you ever watched Harley Davidson, the Marlboro Man? Carry mine in my britches. Now you need a holster, man. People shoot themselves in the femoral artery and die that way. You always use a holster. You're not one of these, thugs that carries in the waistband. Carry with a holster. The race says, my spelling isn't any better left or right-handed. That's right. You spell with your mind, you write with your hand. Photo paper is expensive? Yes. Aunt D says, I often shoot videos a few times, so I'm tripping on my words. The more I think of it, the worse I get. Gotta just go with it. One take, man. Put the outline together in your head and roll with it. Oh, Nancy's putting the angel. Got the angel and the reindeer. They play together in the front yard. When's the last time Dakota was in timeout? I think he needs to go in timeout tonight. So one of the mods want to, Dakota, what time do you want your timeout? You get to pick the time. Thank you, Levi and Barrows. We appreciate your super chats. Barrows had a $10 super chat. We thank him for that. And Levi, the 1999, says, here's for orange paper and the continuance of the best automotive YouTube event ever. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Anything super chat here goes in the No Name Nationals General Fund. So thank you. We appreciate it. Hugger Orange. I don't know, man. Maybe Hemi Orange in this place. True, but he didn't know how to sign it. He did. He made his mark. That's a mark, right? You ought to see the signature client I had. We closed on a property a week or two ago. His signature, it almost looks like a stamp. It's round and it has this wild looking like symbol he makes. That's his signature. I will be more impressed if you can read Braille. No, I cannot read Braille. Brazil swings by. And he says, hey, guys, stopping by for a quick check-in and say hi. On the road doing a drive and drag. Stopped in for a while. Well, thanks for stopping by. We appreciate you. RC Industry writes cursive when I don't want young people to know what I'm writing about. And you drive your manual transmission when you don't want to take a chance on a young person stealing it. Writing with your right hand sounds crazy. Okay. My dad was left-handed. He said people who were left-handed wrote with the proper hand. Dakota says, I might do a video of my Desert Eagle this weekend. You should. I'd like to see that. RP Download loves seeing old postcards from the 40s written in cursive. Yeah, that's kind of cool. That's kind of cool if it's legible. The cursive that's printed by a machine as a font cursive is so much more legible. That I can work with. But take it at 9:16. So one of the mods who wants to time Dakota out at 9:16 Eastern time, that's when he would like his time out. We will certainly accommodate that. Barrow says, my high school art teacher told us to make your signature unique. It saved my butter more than once. Okay. How long? A standard timeout is 5 minutes or 300 seconds. Mexican Spec says, I was kept after school in the 5th grade for bad cursive. It was me and Anita. Now I can write it perfectly with time. Cool. Dennis Richardson said that we lost a great Mopar racer yesterday, Mike Montgomery, legendary lime green Plymouth Roadrunner wheelie car. Great racer and guy in the Midwest. Sad to see him pass away. Well, indeed. Condolences to his family and friends. Yes, Eastern time. That is correct. So it will be 8:13 Central time, or 8:16. 8:16. We're 3 minutes away. He gets to stick around. Cousin Cletus, no, can't request it. These things are organic. Nanny boy got kept after school for all manner of things. Dakota says, I've waited so many timeouts, probably enough to add up to 5 of these live streams. Yes, but they've made you the man you are today. Aunt D, I forgot about cursive. Now that kiddo is doing it at school. It's surprising how much and how quick it came back. Blue Collar Nate says, I would have requested at 9:16, but that's just me. Okay, he did. And so he requested 9:16. So in 2 minutes, he'll get it. Brian Beeler says, hey, everyone. Howdy, Brian Beeler of the Round 'em Up. Glad you're here. I enjoy those Round 'em Ups. Levi say, is it hard to believe I was drugged by my ear to the principal's office twice? Man, where in the world did you go to school? Did you go to Catholic school or something? Where they would hurt people for sport? See, when I see Beeler, I think of Bueller. I think of Ben Stein. I actually watched a clip from Ben Stein. Win Ben Stein's money today. It's ironic that I would see that. Think of that. Lutheran. There you go. They enjoy punishing kids for ego or whatever they do it for. I don't know. I have no idea. The wife and I got back from the weekly shopping trip at a taco place. I got one taco with the corn tortilla. It comes out to 2 tacos because they give you 2 tortillas. Okay. Sounds like some neat math. Cleta says, I still haven't sold my Tesla yet. Trying to find the right deal on a Ford Lightning. Okay. Danny Boyd didn't get drugged by his ear, but knew the way to the principal's office. $9:16. Time for Dakota's timeout. Mr. Quickrange says, are you going to buy one with a spark plug or a Duracell battery? Oh, yeah, the electric. Lightning, no. Left Turn Dodge says, I had a refrigerator box in the corner of the classroom as my office. Apparently it was a timeout room, but I was in it most of the time. It sounds like pretty fun, actually. Indirect connection Jason in here? Looks like it. Dennis says, I'm going to get with someone that can help me get my long form video back up and going. Yeah. Just a different format. A better format. It's a superior format. Yeah, Cletus is stay electric for my commuter car, Mr. Quickrange. I saw 2 Teslas charging at the gas station today. You should never see that. Blue Collar Nate says, I feel like I saw a video about sitting in refrigerators once. Probably not the best safe room. Aunt Nancy says, I love school. Won state math competitions, enjoyed spelling, English, and grammar. Yep. Aunt Nancy's always been an overachiever. I randomly got this from one of my friends. It looks like a GT fuel filler cap. So there you go. Random Ford stuff. Levi says, Barrows and I still don't respect teachers to this day. Between that and being told we'll never amount to anything, I've grown to hate teachers. Real teachers exist but aren't in classrooms. There are real teachers in classrooms. Some are and some aren't. There are some terrible teachers in classrooms too. There's certainly both out there. Cletus says he's going to build something cool this year. Cletus compound is almost ready to pull in a build. Sounds good. Indirect Jason says, I drove my 67 Belvedere to work this week. If what I'm driving is quiet, something's wrong with it. I can see that. Charger 383 Mopar says, hey, John. Hello, William. I see he's got his Jed shirt on, and he's in black and white there instead of the Cushman thumbnail or the Charger thumbnail. Different look for you. Racer Ray said, we had a fridge box in elementary school, was a clubhouse of sorts. Stole my first kiss in there. Danny Boyd says, most teachers are communists today, unfortunately. Boy, there are a lot of them in the education system. It's unbelievable. They are taking it over. Mohawk said, I went to the same school from K through 12. I knew everyone. Graduating class of 83 students in 1980. My graduating class in 1994 had 6. The whole school had about 45. Never Done Projects, hello. Good to see you. Time to update the picture. I reckon so. Dougster says, have no fear, the Dougster is here. Well, hello, Dougster. Vintage Adventure drives as my mother got a new car the other day. It's a 69 Fairlane. Quiet enough at idle, I can't hear it when pulling up to a stop sign. Good. The older I get, the quieter I like my stuff. Greg McDonald said, a good teacher will make learning fun and make you want to learn. Good teachers can do a lot of things and inspire. Dougster says his graduating class was 275. I don't know what my graduating class at Virginia Tech was. I'm sure it was absolutely enormous. I had a graduating class of 6 from high school. Then I went to a college that had about 800 or 900 undergraduate. And then I went to Tech where I had one class that had 600 people in it. One class. So I've seen the spectrum on class size. Left Turn Dodge says, shout out the Indirect Connection. He came over and did a video last weekend. I finally got it running tonight. So that video is 3,600 views so far. Cool. Excellent. Greg McDonald says some of his best teachers were drunks. Okay. Danny Boyd says, my graduating class was over 500. District was a whole township. Okay. William said, did you see that cracked rear drum I found in my Charger's transmission? No, I did not. Have a cracked rear drum? Yikes. I'd holler at Cope for that one. I'm sure he can hook you up. Michael Schmidt asks, had a good time rebuilding a points distributor and put it on a distributor tester to measure centrifugal and vacuum advance. It was a good idea. Cool. Good deal. The One-Eyed Cat says Buffalo Brian had a 302 69 Fairlane in high school. I just hope he didn't demo derby it. It's what he likes to do with a lot of his cars. Dennis Richardson said he's pretty good and had a great day today. Right on. I'm glad to hear it. Had a pretty good day today, too. Got tickets to the symphony for next month. Cletus says, great job, Left Turn and Indirect. This is the best community, and you guys are doing it right. I agree. Williams says, 1-inch crack right next to the sprag. Thankfully, I have extra parts, so I'm good. Good deal. Good deal. Glad you got that caught. Glad nothing came apart in there. That would have been a big mess. Mexican Specs says, I'll admit my auto shop teacher knew his stuff. On the weekends, he worked at the Sears auto repair place. On Monday, he would tell of his hardest case and ask the students to diagnose it. That sounds pretty cool. I had a good auto shop teacher, too. Ralph Papsadero at New River Community College. He and Jake Hirschman, they were good. I learned a lot from those guys. I give them a lot of credit. Barrow said, I actually stayed friends with a few of my old teachers. My art teacher drove a 69 Baja Bug in woodland camo. And my math teacher had a beautiful 65 Coronet Max Wedge in candy apple red. Wow, that sounds cool. 65 Coronet candy apple red. You don't have a picture of that, do you? That sounds really cool. Greg McDonald said, busing started when I was in the 6th grade, and we had 2,000 freshmen. 4 years later, only 200 graduated. Gosh, 2,000 freshmen. And only 200 graduated. Yeah, I'm hoping a lot of those transferred. It wasn't that big a dropout rate. But where were you on Sunday? We were live for 6 hours. I don't know, man. I don't remember. I don't remember what I did Sunday. I mean, if I'm on YouTube and I see you live, I'll go there and at least say hi. Do what I can do. I can't at all remember what I was doing Sunday. I have no idea. I have no idea. Let's see. William sent me some pictures. But here is the drum crack that he found, fortunately. Look at that. Right where the band rides there. If I can focus in on that. Glad he caught it. So this is what Ben has left of his brother Shannon's Fairlane. You don't have a picture of that Fairlane you can send me, do you guys? I'll put it up on here. Brian Beeler says, cool, 5,000 and under mystery search tonight on Roundup. Looks like 15,000 subscribers over the weekend and digging it. Right on. Yeah, you deserve it, man. You put a lot of work into that. So he's got a mystery search tonight on Roundup. 5,000 and under mystery search. Sounds exciting. Dougster says, my friend's dad was a naval electrician in World War II, and then was a master electrician in civilian life. Raging alcoholic, but a good teacher. That's good. Glad he's a good teacher. Mexican Spec said, busing started when I was entering junior high. Used a different address to go to a school that was not busing kids out. Danny Boyd rode buses all 12 years, school board owned. Dean was asked, next spec was asking Dean, yeah, if I see you live, I'll always at least stop in and say hi. Depends on what I'm doing. Tomorrow, I'm definitely going to be doing some stuff outside because I got to take advantage of the nice days we got left this year. Barrow says, wow, we didn't even have 200 total in the class. RP Dynalos has kept up with his English teacher, and 5 years later we dated. Okay, that sounds kind of weird. Mohawk says, my 8th grade math teacher was an old gearhead. In 74, he showed us how good his new 454 Spirit of America Impala could do a posi burnout in a school parking lot. Sounds like a cool teacher. Quick Wrench had a 66 straight body Ford pickup. Is that one of those unibody trucks? 455, pass anything to the gas station. What Ford had a 455? What deal was that? Was it a 455 Buick or something? Pickerwood Aaron says our school was 1,000. Yeah, my high school was like 40 something. Dr. Go is saying YouTube is interesting. Did a 4-minute long horizontal video of a ship coming into port that got 36 views. Did a 7-second vertical short that got 21,000. Interesting. Yes, exactly. It's attention span. Vintage Adventure Drives his graduating class had 98, if he remembers correctly. He graduated with a World War II vet. It was an inspiring moment. You graduated high school with a World War II veteran? What? Or is that graduating from college? Or did you just graduate college? Well, that's okay. Need more context on all of that. Beeler said, I was able to put together my son's 64 Comet start to finish video. Ah, get a chance to check that out. Yeah, that sounds neat. That sounds neat. Be a good hot rod. Indirect Jason wants to know if Mean Street's getting his No Name Nationals car running, his Diplomat. Do you need help with it? Dougster says, what is a Plymouth Cranbrook? Cranbrook was the school all the executive kids went to. Yeah, wasn't that the one that they went to on Leave It to Beaver? It was like Cranbrook or something was the name. Yeah, Main Street says, I'm going to try to get the engine and transmission in the Diplomat. Right on. I'm anxious to see that one. I want to see that one run again. Lars is stopping by to say, howdy, folks. Been a busy day and still going. Left turn dodges, we barely had 200 in high school, 50 per class, 9 through 12. Nice. Aunt D said, my dad and some guys in the car clubs gave me a great automotive education, later got me into the transport refrigeration world. I didn't know that was a world. That sounds great, though. RP Dynalo, I got banned in the high school parking lot for doing a smoky burnout during a pep rally by 67 Belvedere. I'm sure no video of that exists because I'm thinking we're about the same age, but man, it'd be great if it did. Greg McDonald says, I was the only white guy in basketball class. Basketball was a class? Hot Rod Guy Garage, howdy. He says, hello, everyone late to the party. Glad you're here. As is, they call him Dr. Go. Levi says, my graduating class was 53. Only one failed and dropped out. I'm a high school graduate barely. As my Uncle Jim would say, D equals diploma. 455 Oldsmobile in that Ford truck. Cool. It was a bear to put in, but it worked well. Yeah, I bet it was. That sounds like a neat combo. If you have a picture of that, please email it to me. I'd like to see that. Ginger Van says, my grandfather was a World War II vet, and he was born in 1920. That's cool. Barrow says, one of those trips to the principal's office was for doing reverse donuts in a late 70s Honda Civic. It's kind of funny is our principal, we weren't supposed to do burnouts and stuff, but our principal loved cars. So, when he had to look like he was displeased and all of that, but secretly he had to be saying, oh, right on, man. He had him smoking good for 50 feet. He had to be. I know he wanted to high five us, but couldn't appear to look that way. If I had to guess, and I would say now that he's long retired from that, we would probably get a straight answer. I hope to see him next year, and if so, I'm going to ask him. That's a good point. I should ask him that. Like when our friend Dwayne Farmer, or not Dwayne Farmer, when my friends, the farmers, are listening to this. My friend Dwayne Crawford did that big long burnout in his 29 Model A truck. No, that was in his 66 Ford truck. His black 66 Ford truck is the one he did the long. That was the best first assembly burnout ever. Was Dwayne Crawford, the black 66 Ford. We had two entrances to the parking lot, and he boiled the tires from the far one all the way past the near one in the front of the school. I give that the best. There were some good ones, but I think that in the whole time I went there, I give Dwayne the winner. What say you, farmer boys? So Joe Spear, a World War II vet, never graduated high school before going into service. His high school in 2018 gave him an honorary graduation. You can find it on Google. Okay, cool. Gotcha. Mexican Spec said there are 2,236 students in my high school. Each grade is about 559. That was about my graduating class. Man, that's a lot. Dakota says, Dad said he had a 60s F100 with a 500 Cadillac engine. Someone had put in it but never got it finished. Yeah, there's a lot of that kind of stuff, but that is pretty cool. I wonder how that, I'd like to have seen that. If you want to see a neat swap video, Dakota's brother Hunter put a V8 in a Ranger. He's got it in one 50-minute video, start to finish. I shared it as a community post. Did it a while back, a few months ago. Thought it was cool. I like seeing stuff like that. Mexican Spec said he got crap in high school for his mother dropping me off and tearing out of there in a 68 Ford Galaxy 390. I told him it had nothing to do with me. Talk to her. Yeah. Gosh, your mom gets you in trouble at school. That'd be terrible. Michael Schmidt, 7783. What's next year online? High school reunion? Mine 30-year would have been last year. Our school doesn't do reunions. So this would have been my 31st. Next year will be my 32nd. We don't have them. Cletus says, I'm a student of YouTube University. Yeah, we all do. We all study at the YouTube University. Dougster said the local scrap guy had a 71 Chevy C20 with a Caddy 500 as his tow rig. It was an animal. Sounded great. Loaded it. Yeah, I bet. I'm sure that thing made a ton of torque. It sounds pretty neat, actually. Quick Wrench says that the 60s Ford trucks had straight axles so you can put any engine. Yeah, I guess so. It'd be tons of clearance. Any headers and oil pan or whatever you wanted. Yeah, I could see that. And you go with a TH400, which would be an improvement over any Ford transmission. So, yeah, I can see that. What's next year? High school reunion? Yeah, not for me. Ginger would have a 30 if they had one next year. Went to the same school I did, so there's no reunions. RP Download said my 67 Belvedere was pretty popular in high school, known as the Party Wagon. Dakota said Hunter did good on that one. That was our grandpa's truck. He drove it for a long time. Yeah, I know. I like that video. I like how y'all did that and everything. Cletus said, I heard someone put a 6.0 LS in a 90s Volvo station wagon in 5 days with a bunch of automotive YouTubers. And you might be able to find that on Cousin Cletus's channel. Just saying. Mexican Spec said my 40-year was last year. Very few people showed up compared to the 10th. Are you like 58, 9 years old? Didn't think you were that old. I thought you were closer to my age. Levi's asking, has anyone been on Rumble as a video platform? I'd be afraid it's not big enough audience even for my content. Well, there's no one over there yet, but who knows? Something will surpass YouTube one day. It always seems to work that way, right? I mean, remember when MySpace was a thing and it got replaced? So something will probably replace YouTube one day. And who knows what that'll be? Who knows? I mean, we all remember when Amazon was a little niche and Sears was a giant, right? So things change, things happen, but I don't know much about Rumble. Aunt D says, transport refrigeration is apparently odd in a very small world. It's really simple and no one wants to touch it. The only real downside is everything is 5 to 13 feet off the ground. Wow. Danny Boyd says, I wanted to go to my reunion. Would have I got my truck painted in time? What in the world? Why would you not go to your reunion because you don't have your truck painted in time? The car I drove in high school still has the same paint on it when I was in high school. Dean Stevenson says, I turned up for our school's 25th. I was the first guy married in my class and I was 20, which I thought was old. 20 is, yes. Indirect said, we had our 30-year reunion during the No Name Nationals 2025. Well, I guess y'all did. You had a pretty good crowd there. Barrow says anything will fit in anything. I'm doing a tunnel ram small block Chevy and Muncie 4-speed and a 66 Corvair for this year's build. Any chance that'll make it to Sykeston? Mexican Specs will be 59 next month. Yeah, okay. You're a bit older than I thought you were. I thought you were a little bit closer in age to me. You got a decade on me. Cousin Cletus asks if Rumble is one of those gay dating sites. No, but now that you say it, the name's pretty conducive, I guess. Rumble's kind of like a competitor to YouTube, but it has no audience yet. But if you find what you're looking for over there, don't report back, I guess. Left Turn Dodge said, I had a slant six shorty panel van in high school. It was known for many things. Some of them were actually true. Rumble is car oriented. I have no idea. I think Dust Devil Garage has a Rumble account. Mexican Specs, our 10th reunion was at a hotel in Universal City. Universal Studios across the street. The 40th was a small restaurant in Topanga Plaza. I did not go, just saw pictures. There was one reunion ever for my school. And since I'm not on Facebook, I never even got an invite. But I really see about everybody, for most people, for the most part. I'm sure people would be nice to see, but you know, I do want to see my principal. I hope I'll see him next year. Tried to make it happen this year, couldn't do it. Hope to make it happen next year. Dakota says, I reckon Rumble, there's less restriction. You can be more controversial. Usually what happens with anything like that, though, the bigger they get, the more corporate interest they get, the more sponsorship they get, the more they have to give in to, you know, being politically correct. That's usually the way it goes with everything like that. Levi says, if YouTube would tell you how to use it as a creator, it will be okay, but they don't care if the platform gets bigger. Okay. RP Download says, I remember dudes trying to do donuts in front-wheel drive cars. Yeah, you pretty much got to do them in reverse. Or you could do the cheap thing and take those plastic trays like a fast food restaurant has, put them under the back tires, lock the parking brake. You could do some donuts like that. Sort of. Andy said we had a 10-year high school reunion and the 20 was forgotten about in 2021. Yeah, they prune away. Usually as people get older, they start combining all the classes for good reason. And I think that's fine. Because we generally remember people from classes before. I don't know why more people won't want to do that. Unless you have gigantic graduating classes, then it makes more sense. Rumble is YouTube, except less user-friendly, and they allow the First Amendment. Yeah, the last time I looked over there, the interface was kind of wonky. Racer said, class reunions, I drove the same car I drove in high school, and that was the 40th reunion. Wow. Well, I still have the same one I drove 31 years ago. Quick Wrench says, the problem is trying to keep up with Rumble, YouTube, and Facebook. Pick one and stick with it. That's how I got to 500. Dougster says, I want a semi-truck reefer unit to use a diesel-powered air conditioner for my shop. Okay. Quick Wrench says, stop by any Great Dane dealership. That's how I would get the reefer unit cheap. So there you go. There's a guy who works on trucks giving you a tip. And no, people, reefer unit has nothing to do with stuff you smoke, because I'm sure there's somebody telling me it's right now. So all of you guys trying to find out about gay dating sites, you're fishing in the wrong place. I doubt many people in our chat have anything to contribute to that. But anyway, Greg McDonald said, I had more fun at my grade school reunion than 40th. Well, since I got sent this picture for y'all, here's some of my classmates. Look at this motley crew. I know everybody in that photo. I don't know what year that's from, but it's about it's 1994, I think. 93 or 94. Mullets rule, yes. And I got so my buddies who are listening, who I went to school with, one of them was within that photo. So Ginger Vance, that you see in the comments here, there's her from somewhere. And he says, yes, Crawford's burnout was epic. Yes, it was. That is the greatest First Assembly Christian School burnout of all time. If anybody challenges that, tell me whose was better. Paul Levitt's across the sidewalk was pretty good, but it was a one-wheel pill. If it had been a two-wheel pill, it'd have been in the running. I'm giving Dwayne's the number one. He's getting the number one for that one. Well, they all have hair, and a lot of hair too, and still do. Most of them do from that photo. I don't remember many names from high school. There's a Facebook group just for my class. Don't recognize names. I don't have Facebook. Mr. Quickrench says, I work on the Thermo Kings all the time. They're not very good. Oh, you like the reefer units? Yeah. And he says, most reefer dealers have stuff for cheap. You guys are talking stuff I have no clue. Mo Parquet, hello. Thanks for swinging by. Dougster wants to know what the quality unit is in your opinion. Yeah, so what's the good brand of refrigeration unit if you're looking to buy one? I'll tell you what, this is a world of stuff I know nothing about. I don't know much about working on trucks and stuff, but I think it's cool we got people in here that do, like Quick Wrench and Tony's Hot Rod Garage and etc. Dr. Go says, 20 years back, my mom visited her hometown and connected with 10 of her friends. What was more cool was they were in their 70s, was able to take their kindergarten teacher to lunch in her 90s. Oh, that's great. That's really cool to be in your 70s and your kindergarten teacher's still living. That's neat. That's really cool. Good finds, Billy. Where'd you get that? Billy sent it to me. I'll show you. He sent me a couple others here, but I will show you those here after the live. Mr. Quick Wrench is one of those YouTube mechanics. Yeah, YouTube mechanics are great. YouTube mechanics are what the comments are full of, and I love it. I think it's great. Greg says, I miss my mullet. I miss most of my hair nowadays. Yeah, I never really had hair like that at all. I pretty much have what I have now. I just have more of it, and it was darker. Yeah, man, I don't have a lot of hair left. What I have is gray or gone, but Clayton's Toolbox. I know you're into guns, into hunting rifles. If so, any favorites? I'm a basic guy, okay? I like a good old AHRA AK, good battle rifle type. Keep it simple, 223 or 7.62. I kind of like the AR better just because the optics mount cleaner. That's what I like. But if you're talking hunting rifle, my long range go-to is a Remington 700 and 308 Winchester. And all these guys say, Creedmoor shoots flatter. I don't care. Couldn't care less. 308 Winchester worked for my father, works for me. Remington 700 all day. Yeah, Billy has more photos. But yeah, you can have that one. As soon as I get the live, I'll give it to you. He just sent it just now. Thought that was kind of funny. Cletus says, Mr. Quick Wrench calls me a YouTube mechanic or keyboard warrior. Yeah, it's all good. We want to see Quick Wrench, No Name Nationals. We want to see his entry. RP Dynalo says, I had the same history teacher in 93 as my parents did in 63. Yeah, I hear that sometimes. Levi said, Jason, I thought you and Jay were 160. Hey, man. Jay's a year older than me, and Jason and I are the same vintage. Don't be calling him old, kid. Left Turn Dodge's Rapid Transit has pulled me out of being a truck mechanic 3 times now. No more interest working on trucks. Mexican Spec said, my kindergarten teacher was a very old lady and had us sleeping all day, which meant I didn't sleep at night. My mother took me out of that class in the first grade. Cletus graduated YouTube mechanic. Dr. Goes said early 20s Mexican Spec. My mom became a school teacher at 21 by taking extra summer classes and graduating in 3 years. Good for her. Sounds great. No Parquet says, I finally understand a clean fuel system, clean water supply, and all the clean things of cars. Good. Clean is good. Aunt D says 308 will most likely be around long after the Creedmoor loses its cool factor. I agree. The 308 is timeless. It's here to stay. The Creedmoor might be, but man, these boutique calibers just. I like a 9mm and a carry pistol. I like 223 or 760. 762 is actually a better round, but I like the 223 because I really like the way you can mount the optics better on the AR. That truly is, to me, the chief advantage is that. But either one, and for longer range stuff, the 308, and of course, I like a classic 12 gauge. And if one of those doesn't do it, you need to be somewhere else. Levi says, if the shoe fits, Dougie, does that mean you're ancient too? Yes, it does. Dougie and Jason and I are all the same vintage. Cletus says, I have a 94 Dodge Ram 2500 van with a 390. Does that make me a Mopar guy now? Maybe. And it has a 390? What in the world is that? That's like a, what is that, like a 60? Is that a 30 over 318 with a 4-inch crank? Is that what that is? RP Download wants a 308 Ruger Scout. Yeah, knock yourself out. Danny Boyd says Ford used 223 as a displacement on old inline 6 engines. Yeah, I remember that. I think you might have mentioned that. Dakota said, I got a new style AR-15 and a Colt Sport H-bar that looks like an M16A2. Love them both. Yeah. 360. Okay. Makes more sense. There you go. Greg McDonald says, my niece got her college degree before her high school diploma at 16. That sounds wild and crazy. How'd she manage to do that? I mean, I did take a short-term class before graduating from high school. Did do that. So I guess you could stack up those concurrent credits and do something like that. Big Mike said, I have a DPMS Oracle in 308 and absolutely loves it. Yeah. Yep, right on. I like the DPMS. It's okay. I don't see any snobbery with that. Yeah, Ginger's a fuzz older than me. She's a cougar. Wendy says her favorite teacher in school was Mrs. Buck. Dean said those 6s got replaced quickly by the 240 and the 300 Big 6. Yeah, they did. I'm really anxious to see Tall Garage Ken's 300 with the LS head. I think that's going to be pretty neat. I'd kind of like to see it. Don't know how it's going to run or what it's going to do, but it'll be pretty neat to see. Dougster says, all you fancy pants cartridge guys, load it down the barrel and use flint to ignite the charge. Right on. Well, the cartridge has been around since the 1860s, so I don't think I'm being too uber modern, Come on, man. Let me at least get into the rifle that won the West here, right? Dakota says, we went to buy a valve grinding machine that was mounted on a table thing with a big drawer. Guy said $250 for it all. Me and Dad picked the whole thing up and set it in the truck. They didn't know what it was. Okay, cool. I like that. Andy says, likes working on reefer units. Won't complain if I never do another set of landing legs, trailer brakes, airbags. Yeah, I can see that. Dakota says, didn't know it had 500 rounds of 6,000 rounds of 762 in the drawer. Okay. I mean, was the ammo any count? I mean, was it? I mean, a lot of this old ammo, I don't know. I guess I shoot enough of it. Read the other half. What was it, an auction or something? Vintage Adventure Drives. The first gun I shot was a 44 caliber cap and ball black powder, Colt 1860 Arm Edition. Yeah, cool. I've shot those. They are fun to shoot. Bar cases, it never pops up the notification, so I try to open my app. Yeah, sometimes they don't. What's funny is Two Hacks Jeff. I was his very first subscriber, and YouTube absolutely refuses to let me turn the notifications on for his channel. Can't do it. So Jeff, I've showed him. I even did a screen record of me trying to hit notifications. I said, I don't know what's up with that, but yeah. He says that ammo was fine. Well, I'm sure it's still fine. I mean, if it's been kept dry and not corroded, it's fine. 100 years later, it'll fire. Duxter says, I don't trust cap and ball revolvers. I've never shot a flintlock. I have shot cap and ball. Oh, Duxter, you'll like this. So my dad would never shoot the 1842 Springfield musket that I gave him. And now that he's gone, I may take it out and shoot it. Who knows? I might do that on his, what would have been his 82nd birthday here in the spring. Maybe we'll do that. Dakota's got 8 or 10 black powder revolvers. Cool. Single shot only for me. Well, right on, man. Semi-trailers were fine until I started doing tank inspections. I can live with never being inside another 7,000-gallon tank. I have video on my channel of a dude inspecting a septic tank, walking down into a septic tank with a ladder. And whistling the theme to the Andy Griffith Show while in the tank. I kid you not. That's on my channel. It's a short. Here real recently. Quick Wrench says, working on trucks isn't fun anymore. They break way too much. Yeah, I can see that. RP Dynalos' favorite gun's a single-shot Ultra Slug 12-gauge. It is kind of fun shooting a slug just because they can do so much. Michael Schmidt wants to know if it's a working valve grinder brand. I bought a few bit, can't find the parts to complete one. Yeah. Dad's muscle. Yeah, I may do that. He was always afraid to shoot it, but I'm not. First gun I shot was a 243. Don't know the brand, but the last gun I hope to have to shoot's a military rifle. And if I don't shoot a military weapon, I've lived a very successful life. Well, you're definitely higher on the pecking order for draft than me, that's for sure. Mexican Specs is my third grade teacher brought in her husband to draw a character on the board. He was the person that drew the Pillsbury Doughboy originally. Oh, that's a neat story. I like that. Vintage Adventure Drive says, when I shot that cap and ball revolver, I would pull the trigger and wait a minute if it didn't first. Yeah, you don't want to hang fire with powder like that. They can definitely do that. Hey, Skelton Racing to the front. Howdy, how's it going? Glad you're in the house. Thanks for joining us. There will soon be a number on this paper here. You know what that means. Days until party time at the Skelton Raceway. Dakota says, I'm an outlaw. Don't put that word. Right now, at the moment, we're talking guns. I'm assuming this is Little Possum. I think you manage a channel, right? But they've been talking about everything tonight. Cars always. But what else has sneaked in here was guns and high school and other random stuffs. A little bit of real estate at the beginning. Internet Connection says, I'm pretty sure every single slack adjuster ever made was made the same day. And we got every single one of them that froze up. The last month or so, we've had 25 replaced. Yeah, when we get them on guns, they have a lot to talk about. Tomorrow is opening day for modern gun deer season. It shall be the old Winchester 3030. I love the old Winchester 94. I've always thought it would be cool to have one in, for whatever reason, I don't really know why, in 357 Magnum. I know it just sounds weird. And the 4570, of course, is cool too. But those long cartridges are kind of neat with the lever action. It's kind of fun watching them fly out of the top like that. But I'm a big fan of that. I love the 94. Left Turn Dodge says, every Mac at my last job, we got new slack adjusted at least once. We got just a minute or two remaining here, and then we're going to wrap up for the evening. Skeleton Racing says, yes, sir. Hey, man, good to see you in here. Glad you're here. We all had a great time in Sykeston, and we are already gearing up for 2026. So as soon as the number appears back here, we're going to know. So it's going to be soon. It's going to be real soon. I told him I want to have him a number by Thanksgiving, and we should have a commitment on that number really soon. So can they, Cummins running the 6-cylinder class? Our 6-cylinder bracket? Absolutely. Sounds great to me. I'm no gun person. I just like vintage stuff. I'm actually a gun training person more than a gun person. I'm not excited about owning the hardware as much as I am the skills and the training to use it. But Skeleton Racing says biggest by far 2026. And we'll let that be the comment of the evening because we're at our time. So yes, we are working on having a grand 5th annual AHRA No Name Nationals at the Skelton Raceway in Sykeston. I'm very excited about that. Can't wait for that. We're going to do some things to recognize the OGs. That's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have the 3-pedal party at the No Name Nationals in 2026. We're going to try to bring out the manual transmission cars. So you're going to want to be there for that. Lots of fun. We kind of see things go in ebbs and flows, and I think we're going to see a bigger, I'm already seeing the signs, we're going to see a bigger burnout contest than ever in 2026. I just kind of got a feeling that's going to happen. Quick reminder, too, Wednesday night Tech Talk at 7 p.m. on the Slant Daily Garage channel with Dallas and Professor P. You want to catch that. It's a great place to answer your tech questions, and all kinds of wizardry can be put to bed with good answers over there. And with that, guys, you guys have a great rest of your weekend. I may stream or at least do shorts or something of me mounting tires tomorrow. So if you want to laugh, point, and heckle me while I wrestle getting these tires and wheels, come on out for that. So probably some random time during the day. But with that, y'all have a great weekend. Thank you for coming out tonight, and we will see you next Friday.